Without skateboarding in my life, I don't know where I'd be. Skateboarding taught me everything. And it sounds cliche, but if you actually grew up skateboarding and you've been skateboarding as long as I have, you'll understand what I'm saying. It taught you how to look at everything different in life. It taught you how to persevere. So that transferred into my photography, that transferred into me building motorcycles, that transferred into everything I think about in life. My name's Jon Humphries. I'm from Portland, Oregon. I got into motorcycles, I think in 2006. I went on a road trip with America Shoe Company. The road trip was sponsored by Harley Davidson. Keith Kirchart and Spanky and a bunch of guys, pro skateboarders, rode across country on Harleys. I went along to document it for Transworld Skateboarding. And I don't know, it was just a bummer being in the van, watching those guys ride bikes, and it looked so fun that every time we'd stop in a parking lot or whatnot, I would try to hop on one of those guys' bikes and learn how to ride. I always wanted to ride a motorcycle. There was something cool about it. And especially watching Heath and these other guys, I just knew straight away. I was like, dude, this is what I want to do. I knew in the back of my head I always wanted a motorcycle. And the minute I saw those guys, I was like, yeah, nothing was holding me back from going to buy a motorcycle. That summer of 2006, I got home from the trip with those guys and I went and bought a Sportster 2 weeks later. And that was it. I was hooked after that. It was an easy transition to fall in love with motorcycles from skateboarding. You're looking for that same kind of adrenaline rush. You're looking for that same kind of camaraderie with your friends, which is the same as skateboarding. I think growing older and maybe not being able to skate as much as I wanted to and as good as I wanted to, motorcycles kind of felt like it was filling that gap too. When I first got into motorcycles though, there was like this weird thing in the chopper scene where like people were talking shit about skateboarders getting into motorcycles, which I never understood. And it was just kind of like a small group of guys, but for me, it was always like, well, who else would you want to get into motorcycles or choppers? I feel like skateboarders are like the people you want to get into choppers, right? It's like, we all have the same similar vibe as people who ride motorcycles, and I don't know, that would always kind of floor me. Like, why wouldn't you want skateboarders to be into motorcycles? I don't know. Fast forward like a year or so, just like anything else I do in life, man, I can't do it like half-assed. I had to like go even deeper. So I saw Scott Pommier, who was a fellow photographer. I saw a chopper that Max Schaff was building for Scott, and I was like blown away. I was like, oh, I need this. This Sportster is not doing enough for me. This Softail's not doing enough for me. I need a panhead. So I had known Max from shooting him during the contest series in the late 90s in Europe, and we had hung out a few times and met and bonded over cameras, and Max got into Leicas and I had a Leica at the time. Somehow I figured out how to get Max's number, and I started texting Max like, look, like, I want to build a chopper, can you help me? You know, and having that relationship earlier with Max because of skateboarding and photography, you know, he was down, right? I started trying to collect parts. Max taught me like, hey man, you need this frame. You need to find this nice wishbone frame. Look for a panhead that has numbers on it that aren't screwed up. Look for this, look for that. I found a 1955 panhead outside of Portland. I show up there, this is massive dude, his name's Rondo. Rondo definitely told me he had just got out of federal prison and he was just selling his bike, probably needed the money, just got out of prison. Ponied up the cash to Rondo. I went there, I had like an axe in my car because I was scared of Rondo. I got it started, somehow I rode it home. So this 1955 panhead turned into what Max built for me as my first chopper. Long story short, I mean, I think just what Max taught me and everything I learned from him and his style, Max has kind of always been my favorite bike builder by far. So just like anything else, I dove deeper and deeper, just like photography or skateboarding. I just can't stop at like one thing, right? So now I understand how to do this. I want to build a chopper myself. I started looking for parts again. The 67 was the next evolution for me, and I finished the 67 shovel in 2012, I believe. And it was in the fourth one show, I think, or the third one show, one of the two. Basically, I built a chopper myself and entered it in a motorcycle show, which was like a huge accomplishment for me. I kind of hit skateboarding photography at the perfect timing. In the late 90s, skateboarding started to regain some momentum. It died in the early 90s, and I kind of followed it on an uphill trajectory in the late 90s with Tony Hawk Pro Skater coming out, punk rock getting popular again. all of a sudden skateboarding was huge again from like, 98 to 2002. At that time, the magazines were so big, I would have 30-page articles every other month in the magazine, which is amazing. So, that would add up to a lot where I was making, a few grand or more a month on a skateboard magazine, which obviously you can't do that now. What really helped launch my career in skateboarding photography was an article I did on Burnside. I not only shot skateboarding, I looked at it from a documentary point of view. I not only shot the skateboard action photos, I tried to tell a story of all the characters down there. In 1996, I had a 12-page article come out in Transworld Skateboarding, all black and white, all hand printed by me. It stood out at the time. No one hand printed black and white at the time. So that actually got me a bunch of jobs, which is very strange. I didn't realize I was gonna do that, but people noticed it, and all of a sudden my name was in skateboarding photography from that article. Still to this day, my favorite all-time photos are my photos of Burnside, even though like I shot them 30 years, it's been 30 years since I shot those photos, and they're my favorite photos. I don't know why. I didn't know as much what I was doing then. I knew enough to make good photos, but like, I was just shooting. Like I was just there shooting. I was in the middle of it. I was skating Burnside at the same time, and I was hanging out with those guys. And I don't know, when you're in the middle of the vibe of all that and you're just shooting photos, that's when the magic happens. And I've kind of had that since then, but not the same. The Burnside photos are my all-time favorite photos I've ever shot, for sure. I'm trying my hardest to pass all this knowledge on to my son and my daughter and show them my interests and show them my passion and show them all these other things you can do in life besides worry about money and worry about fame and worry about status and this and that. None of that matters in skateboarding and motorcycles, like even photography, none of that matters, man. What matters is like being creative and hanging out with your friends, trying to impress yourself by doing the best you can. And yeah, I'm trying to pass that down to both of my kids. My girlfriend has two boys too, 7 and 10, and I'm trying to even pass that down to them. I'm about to build a 3-foot half pipe in their yard this spring to try to, introduce more skateboarding into their lives. So I've had my son skateboarding since he could walk. I'd put him on a board in the living room. I'd put him on a board in the grass. I mean, he was dropping in and skating a ramp when he was like 5 years old. And from there, it just kind of snowballed into, next thing you know, he's riding a bike and he's jumping off a jump at 5 years old. And next thing you know, he's riding a bike way better than I could ever ride a BMX bike. And next thing you know, from there, I'm shooting photos of my son, jumping and doing tabletops over these jumps that I could never ever do, which is amazing. And then he's frontside grinding a mini ramp at age 8 years old. Just things that I didn't do. I didn't even do any of that till I was 11 or 12 years old, and he's already doing it, 6, 7, 8 years old. So I really made it a point to introduce him to all these things that I love in life in hopes that he takes it, to when he's older and he introduces it to his kids, same thing, so. Yeah, this whole 90s resurgence of how kids are dressing is such a trip, because I just look at my son and he's 15 now and he looks almost exactly how I looked when I was 15, and it's so weird to think that the 90s were gonna come back like that. I thought the 90s style was dead and no one was gonna dress like that ever again after 1993. I thought it was just done. And so for me to look at him now and to watch him want to dress like how I dress is such a trip. And then just see him dropping in on my ramp and looking like I looked in 1991 and 2, it's pretty surreal. Yeah. I think slowly as he's getting older, he's showing more interest in street bikes and Harleys and whatnot. I would eventually like to get him to ride one of my choppers, and maybe for this video, we'll see if we can make that happen or not. I guess he's not stopping. Well, maybe this will actually make him want to build a chopper. I don't know, it could be a cool thing, we'll see.